figured I have to pay the necessary dog tax because she's going to be upset that she's not going to be up here. So, I'm going to let her smooch me face for a few more seconds, and then we're going to go off cam. Luna, do you want to say hello to the people? Do you want to say hello to the people instead of my face?
Nope, just your face.
Nope. Alright. Camera off. Alright. Luna, you're going to fly. Nope, just hugs apparently. Oh God. This is the price we pay. Pretty. Trustful. Not really. Alright. So, welcome to the chat again. My name is Mike D'Angelo, aka That Tellest Guy. I am joined not only by Luna, but by my wife, Rihanna.
Hello.
We are going to do this special episode, this bonus episode today, to talk about the convention circuit for fantasy creators and what that looks like for someone who might not have had the opportunity to do that yet. And we'll also talk about what we have planned for ourselves. If the stream stops unexpectedly, it's because Luna has tripped over the giant maze of wires that I have underneath my desk.
She's a stompy baby.
She's just very curious. But anyway, so yeah, let's get right to it. So, what you want to talk about, Rihanna?
I would say the most memorable thing to happen at conventions, I think it was our first convention that we went to, where we were so overwhelmed with people that we went out to dinner after and did not talk to each other at all.
Right. So for anybody who is brand new to doing like a convention like that, Thursday at the show went pretty well for us. Thursday was a setup day. We had an opportunity to set up our table. So you can see here in this image, I'll blow it up a little bit. A lot of fun putting things together so that everybody, knew what Tellest was, knew what to expect. I'm on the wrong screen again. So don't worry, you weren't missing much. This was the only thing that we showed.
Note the Captain America shirt.
And the Iron Man shirt that you can barely see too. So again, this was, I believe, the first time that we went to Comic-Con. This might be like a year or two later or something like that. I don't know for sure. But in any case, the Thursday that we went was all set up. The first time that it opens is something like 5 p.m. because they want to make sure that people are, they're not skipping school or work to get there or anything. Thursday went very well, but Friday was our very first incredibly busy day. Rihanna and I had a very good time, but neither of us are really extroverts. Like, I can turn it off. I can pretend to be an extrovert when I need to. And
I just double down on being weird and awkward. And I don't even know what happens.
And when I turn on the extrovert, feature, it runs down my battery really badly. And Rihanna and I, we really do, we're still in the honeymoon phase. 8 years later married and 12 years later together. But I could not sum up any energy to talk to this woman at all. We went to... We had a hotel. We went to Hard Rock Cafe. We had a hotel. It's driving distance to our house. We went to Philadelphia Comic-Con back when it was Wizard World, and we really could have driven home. I mean, it's a half-hour drive. It probably would have felt a little bit longer because we're brand new to it.
Right.
The ride home, you have to struggle against other people who are leaving the convention, things like that. Ordered our food, did not speak one word to each other.
Blank stares.
Went to the hotel, and again, if you're living in the greater area of wherever you're trying to go to the convention, I feel like a hotel, maybe for your first time just to get used to it, it might be useful, but really for us, we've done 5 conventions or so since, we've never had to use the hotel again. It was really an opportunity for Matt and his friends to jump around on the beds.
And hang out.
Right. Now, at the time, Matt was, I believe, not local. He was working in California, so it was a good opportunity for him to come and hang out somewhere. His friends were in different places, so they could all kind of converge, and they were helping us. Tellest is a big enough product where... with everything that we were doing, we can't do it ourselves. We were trying to play Quantum Quest with people. We wanted to introduce people to that game. And that was really, I think, what gave us enough momentum to make the Kickstarter work. Without something like Comic-Con, it wasn't going to get out there into the world enough to hit the casual player that likes Quantum Quest. Because Quantum Quest is not your, Gloomhaven or anything like that. It's not something that, there's not a lot of strategy to it. It's like a fun little casual game. So we needed to get that into people's hands to be able to play it, to be able to see, it's fun in those small bursts and things like that. And it gave us the opportunity to continue playtesting because we brought it to game stores around us and stuff like that to get people to play it. They gave us a lot of good advice. But Comic-Con, we had, like 4 games going at once with multiple different players.
Because the good thing about Comic-Con for really anything is you get a wide variety of people with different interests. Some people are gamers, some people are more on like the, book series or anything like that. But when we were going to, like, gamer-specific things, like people who are hardcore into board games, like, that's very good information, but it's also so, like, you're talking to experts, basically, and not, like, the casual player. So I think there was a lot of value in having, like, the casual players, because we got, like, fun things, like house rules and, like...
Right.
Like just different experiences with different kinds of people.
Right. Yeah, so by and large, we've been to a couple of different kinds of conventions. We've been to Comic-Con a few times, including the ones that are not your Wizard World. We've been to smaller ones. Rihanna, you didn't come to the Harrisburg one with me. That was very small comparatively.
That was when you had your existential crisis?
No.
Oh, that was different? Okay.
That was different. So Harrisburg was another regular convention, but it was at like a retrofitted like JCPenney. Like JCPenney wasn't there anymore, and they used the area for a convention. Very small. That was the first time that we were playing around with posters. And we only had like 5. Like there wasn't really like a lot to show off, but it was the precursor to us getting the art book because we had the opportunity to talk to other people who we had made friends with over the course of everything. We also did Comic-Con at Greater Oaks. Another somewhat smaller one, and then we did the big one, Wizard World. Those were the big 3 that we've done, and then we also did PAX Unplugged, where we had an opportunity to get Quantum Quest in front of a few people. Again, PAX Unplugged is a little bit more the people who are they're very into their games and stuff like that. So you're not going to find people who are into games that are too casual or anything like that. But if you're making a game like what we're making now with Tower Sphere, that's the kind of place that you want to get people's opinions, because they'll tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong.
So this might be a overshare, but I think that was another instance where we got overwhelmed with people, and I remember us going into the parking garage watching an episode of This Is Us.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Was that a different
That was a different one. Same one that you were mentioning before. So the last one that we did was Metatopia. That was the place where both of these things happened. Rihanna, again, she's got a battery that gets depleted when it comes to people. Quickly. Myself less so, but I went to Metatopia the first night, right after work, had to get everything set up, had to get everything scheduled. And when I went there, I've always considered myself a nerd, and the level of nerddom, like the passion that these people wore on their sleeves, made me feel like I didn't know who I was anymore. I came home and just lost my marbles pretty much. The entire drive
as a nerd.
I was completely let down by what I thought I was. And luckily the next day, I don't know if I was hungry, whatever it was, the next day restored my faith in myself as someone who had a good time with everything. We met some awesome people there that I still am Facebook friends with. We had some very good tests with Quantum Quest. Again, we know very much that it is a casual game, and Metatopia is the kind of place where you go to help you get all the details of your game figured out. And you can go and not know anything about your game, or you can know a tremendous amount and are just trying to nail down the details and iron out the wrinkles.
Generally speaking, one of the best parts about like being a vendor at a convention is the other vendors that you get to meet, because they're generally really good people.
Right.
Like, we haven't had a bad experience with like neighbor vendors
Right.
at all. Everyone's very like supportive of each other. So one of the things we're trying to do upcoming is do a Renaissance fair. And even that, I was asking the vendors there, like, you know, do you have any suggestions or anything? And they are so open and supportive of other artists, you know, because everyone kind of supports each other. And if you have a cool product that's like eye-catching, you're going to help the neighbor's business, because, you know, it's going to draw people to their table as well. So
Right.
just generally really good people.
So, kind of piggybacking off of that idea, I do want to give a couple of shout outs to a couple of the vendors who we worked with. Certainly we worked with a couple of the artists who have contributed to the Tellest universe. I don't know anybody by name. It's one of those things where it's been like 5 years. I don't remember the name of the people who are making the wire crowns or anything like that. But
Borea Silver or something.
Something like that.
Really cool.
I feel like they were a jumping off point for you and your crafting journey.
Yeah.
They were making these beautiful like wire made crowns and like tiaras and stuff. And I think it gave Rihanna the confidence to move forward with her own thing. Their work was incredibly beautiful, and it wasn't that, you know, their work itself gave Rihanna the confidence. It was Rihanna knew at that point that there were people who were interested in kind of like fantasy like wear and stuff like that.
Yeah, because the thing I do obviously is the wands, and that's, I mean, it's not the same thing by any means that, you know, the handmade crowns or anything were, but it's sparkly and involves crystals, and it really did draw people to the table. And I think that the work I do is visually like in the same wheelhouse as
Right.
that, and I think that the success that they had and like the kind of joy that people had like being a part of it was just really, really inspiring. I haven't sold my wands in person yet, but I did trade a couple with someone at a flea market, and I got to see for the first time somebody like look at one of my wands, and it was just very, very cool. Like, he didn't know I was the artist. He's like, "Whoa, look at the balance. This is great." And it was a guy. I'm still like, I'm so happy that a lot of the wands that I sell are to guys. Like, I don't know why I thought it would be like sort of more of like a pixie photo shoot kind of thing, but
although you have something like that coming up.
Yeah, I do have that, and I have, you know, like there's a lot of people who do, you know, kind of gravitate toward the more like fairy tale ones, but a lot of them are just people who like wands, and I love it. I love the variety.
We definitely have some people who are into like the pop culture of it all. Like, I feel like the Harry Potter stuff kind of sells itself just because it's Harry Potter. People want, they want that kind of thing, and they want handmade, not resin or anything like that. But we've got the other things that have gone over really well, like Nightmare Before Christmas,
Doctor Who,
Marvel. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff that you do that like plays into like those kind of like fan bases.
And I'm very excited to sell them at a convention.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be so fun.
So one of the conventions that we have coming up, ostensibly, is next month in November. We're going to be part of PhilCon. We have 2 tables that we ordered, and the idea is that we're going to try and hammer out all the stuff that we've done since the pandemic that we haven't had a chance to do. We played around at Fan Expo in early June or late May, and we didn't have a chance to get a table. Like, they never got back to me and said that it was okay. I locked down 2 tables for that for next year as well. But we couldn't sell books, we couldn't sell mouse pads, we couldn't sell wands. So like, next year might be, even this year might be a huge game changer for us, because we'd never had that stuff before. So now, having the extra products that we have, we get to do a lot of cool stuff.
That's going to be another one. It's going to be so, like, we're going to have many a night where we just don't speak to each other, because there was like 10,000 people or more.
Fan Expo?
Yeah.
Yeah, Fan Expo next year is going to be tough. But the thing that might make things easier for us is we will have PhilCon already in the bag because that's November. We'll have, I think, the Renaissance Fair because the Renaissance Fair comes first, or does that come after?
No, it comes after, and it's
Oh.
4 weeks.
Yeah, and we have to figure out the details for that too because I don't know if we're on the hook for all 4 weeks. Because if you sell all your wands,
What am I gonna do?
right? I mean, you're gonna whittle away.
I have 130 right now, somewhere about there.
Right.
And by that time, I should hopefully have another 100 or so.
Right. Well, so my theory has always been the reason that we don't sell our things quicker is because people don't know where to find our stuff. If you've got foot traffic that are going by your awesome wands, I have a feeling that your wands are going to sell like crazy.
Thank you. Well, we've always talked about like the difference between selling like a book versus visual art. Like it's more immediate when you see
Right.
a visual thing. Like you know exactly what you're getting when you see it. Like there's no surprises. But with books, there's always like that. Am I gonna like what's inside of it? And I don't have time to sit there and like flip through it. So.
Right.
You know, like it's not as much of a insta buy.
Right. Well, and that's part of the reason that I need to help you get Whispers of the Weirdwood wrapped up so that we have that connective tissue between your wands.
And the books.
Because we can use your wands as almost like the mascot for the Tellest universe. So yeah, we can have a lot of fun there. Anything else that you wanted to talk about before we...
If we are talking to someone who's here for tips for future conventions, make sure you bring chair cushions.
Chair cushions were a game changer. I think
is
that
a
was
must.
another part of the reason that we lost a lot of energy that first couple of nights. I don't remember. We didn't get it at all the first convention.
No, because they only provided like those little like folding metal chairs.
Right. And that's consistent with what you
yeah,
get at all
that's-
these conventions.
Right. That's normal. It's nice that they provide chairs at all, but like the orthopedic like back support
Right.
and like bottom cushion is an absolute must because the level of fatigue that we had with versus without was like
Right.
night and
We
day.
we got that, and also one of the things that I think really helped was we had that mat that we laid down in front of our table.
Yeah, because when we were kneeling
Yeah,
for
'cause
like,
there's-
stuff under the table.
There's a tremendous amount of content that Tellest sells. Now, if you're like a first time author and you've got 2 or 3 books, you're not going to have that problem because you're going to have a lot of room to pull out your box, take all the stuff that you need out, have things displayed the way that you want. But we had a Tetris stack underneath our table, and really like going to find all that stuff was very challenging. We've talked about like different ways to do that in the future, and I really think that the bookshelf idea is one that we could experiment with, especially because we're going to have limited table space. The last big convention that we did, we expanded our footprint on the convention floor to 4 tables at the main area and like 2 tables in the gaming area. Like we had people interviewing us because they thought that we were like
Big deals.
a big deal, and it was just that people didn't show up at the convention, and we were like, that's our table now. So yeah, I mean,
it made the convention look better. It seemed like it was more full.
right. Yeah, we were doing them a favor. One of the other things is, and you'll see on screen, and this is going to be kind of, your mileage may vary. If you have the opportunity as an expert to talk about certain things, you can do things like panels. So almost every year since the first year, I think the first year we didn't do anything, but every year subsequent to that, I've been very lucky in that one of my partners in entertainment is Kevin Gallagher, who
Life ended. Work husband.
he very much is as much into pop culture and everything as I do, and he kind of MCs a lot of these events. And at every one of these live events, he's done panels that he's invited me to participate in. And in at least one case, someone completely outside of Kev said, "Hey, like, I saw you on like the upcoming, attendees. I looked at your website. I see all the stuff that you've done. Do you want to talk about, your experience as a self-published author and stuff like that?" But I think he knew, like, all right, this guy is like a prawn. This guy is like not a huge footprint, but we get like that concept of like what it is from every step of the journey, so to speak. But it was still a good time. I think because of things like that, more people stopped at our booth and came to say hi and talk a little bit more about the stuff that we did.
You also have a unique talent in that even when you have no idea what you're talking about, you have a really nice voice.
Who are you?
Yeah, and it makes people think that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Versus I stumble. What did I say today? I called a baboon bamboo.
Yeah,
twice.
bamboo twice.
I don't.
Yeah, they were at the bamboo exhibit at the zoo. Like, that has got to be the most boring exhibit I've ever seen.
It's an invasive species.
Just for anybody who doesn't know me enough yet, the reason that I am able to talk my way out of these paper bags is because I have really, really, really bad imposter syndrome, and that's like a self-defense mechanism, is I'm telling myself that I know more about things than I really do. Or I'm convincing myself, you do deserve to belong here because you do know these things.
Versus me, who if I have compliments or criticism, I want to hide in a cocoon no matter what, and just disappear.
Any kind of interaction from people at all.
Don't look at me.
So
stay away.
Mm-hmm. But you're gonna have to get used to it because people are going to want to talk to you about the wands and things like that. So, anything else before we look at pictures and talk about them a little bit? All right. So on the screen right now, what you should see, I'm going to check out all of our devices to make sure that's accurate, are a couple of the things that we've done at the convention. So you can see I kind of emceed the one event that Kev did, the Dark Knights of the Round Table. I believe it was 10 years of the MCU. And it was just trying to get a lot of different people's experience with something like that and finding ways for us to kind of connect that to our nerddom so that people knew, like, hey, we had bona fide credentials to be there, that kind of thing. Center image here is our table. I think, again, that was either the first year or the second year. I don't believe that we went without Quantum Quest. Every time we went, Quantum Quest was on display.
Yeah, it just went from, like, demo box to
giant
banners.
Right. And we've played Reinforcements a bit. I mean, Reinforcements has been done essentially for 5 years, and we're just waiting for like that one next convention to be able to say like, hey, we're running the Kickstarter now, and every time we try and do it, it falls through.
Well,
so
global pandemic.
Oh yeah, well that, and then not being able to get a table at this latest one, because at some point Wizard World got bought out by Fan Expo. Fan Expo has no idea who we are, so all the time that we spent at conventions prior to the pandemic just kind of shot us in the foot, and we had to basically get our badly bloodied foot back in the door. So
that's another thing for new convention goers. It's hard to get into any of these. Like, we're talking about going to a bunch of, different conventions. We don't know if we're actually going to go other than the ones that we got locked in for already.
Right. And in theory, like, the locked into isn't even,
right,
guaranteed.
Until we get the paperwork. That's still up in the air. So it's a process. Like, you want to start introducing yourself to these places
as early as you can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even before you feel like you're ready, just reach out, introduce yourself, and get your name in the system.
Yep. So early on, we had the experience where I think Tales 2 was maybe just announced. Like, we didn't have any of the books subsequent to like the fall. Like, the fall was, I think, the last one that we did. And now you can see like the recommended reading order. We have 20 books out and things like that. So we went from, hey, we've got a little that you can kind of acclimate yourself to. We've got Quantum Quest. We've got these books. We have stepped into this realm where there's so much going on now that we developed with Francois this awesome brochure that, again, because we didn't get locked into anything, and we still haven't gotten locked into anything, we haven't actually gotten this brochure printed out, but we have it so that if you like scan a QR code at our table, it brings you to this digital brochure. And this brochure will get you to really be able to appreciate all the things that we do for the Tellest universe, from Quantum Quest to the Weird Witch Wand stuff to the Full House of Fluff, which we're gonna have to change.
Yeah, we gotta change that. It's now Tales of Tellest.
Yep. So that's TAILS of Tellest on TikTok.
We make no money. We just want our dogs to be seen by the world because they are hilarious.
Rihanna thinks that the dogs need to be more famous than us, and I am inclined to agree. And then, of course, we have the Tellest art book, and then we have all the stuff that we sell on Etsy, like our stickers, our posters, mouse pads, and battle maps. So it helps to be able to kind of show off all of that. We're only going to have the 2 tables at PhilCon. I think that our main focus is going to be on the battle maps and the wands, because I feel like that's going to be, I mean, maybe we'll throw a little bit of the books on there, but it won't be 20 books. It'll be, here's my latest book, here's the battle maps, because I think that there's going to be an intersect between writers and people who are playing D&D and want that kind of stuff. Right. And then for you, we're hoping that there's going to be an intersect between people who write fantasy and nerds who want wands.
Yep. So there's a lot. I mean, it's not just the wand genre is not just for like Harry Potter specific fans. It's
right.
It's people who have a sense of whimsy and magic. Like, one of the main reasons why I started making the wands is because I have the Dumbledore's Army set of Harry Potter wands downstairs in our kitchen.
We got that from Universal, right?
We got it from Universal, and it makes me feel like mundane tasks are now magical, because it's like a witch's kitchen versus like I'm making mac and cheese or I'm brewing mac and cheese. Those little tiny differences.
A witch and kitchen.
Just makes you feel better.
How you doing, Zelda?
She's getting stretched.
She's completely inverted.
She's on her old lady.
Let's see what else we got. We got the brochure, which was here, and then we've got, let's zoom that back out. So one of the things that we didn't do prior to our times with the conventions, we didn't have the whispers. That's going to be interesting to do if we can time that out right. I have a feeling the whispers is probably going to start back up March or April of next year, depending on how the timing of everything works. The whispers is one of our projects where the more people who are aware of it, the better. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we near things like that going live, but I think that'll be fun. The art book was something that was brand new at the time. Quantum Quest Quarterly, which is 1 quarter. That's that little joke thing, but we were able to give that out to anybody who bought the game in person from us. Just all kinds of cool stuff like that. And then what else do we got? On Facebook, we've got a couple of images that we have here. This was the first time that Matt and I did our Quantum Quest demos in person. And this was, I believe, this is the first year?
I think so.
Yeah. I think we lured people in with starbursts, and once we were there, we talked their ears off. You can see Dragon Speaker, I guess, was the latest book. And Tales of Tellest was definitely one of the ones that we kept on using you to, because you're like, one of my stories.
I know. One person asked me to sign it, and I felt like I was the most famous person in the world.
You absolutely were.
Because I got to sign a thing I wrote.
So 2017, this was roughly 6 years ago. I feel like this had to have been our second one then, but I can't remember, because I feel like we've done a lot. I feel like we've done like 5 of them, and we didn't do any during the convention or during the pandemic.
Yeah, so maybe it's our second one.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, definitely our second one. I remember that hat.
That's not a hat.
Crown.
Yeah, that's a crown that you made.
Crown.
You should make those, but I know with everything else going on, you never will.
They don't feel as fun to make for me as the wands, because the wands have so much like mixed media.
Right.
And the flower crowns are kind of weird because you don't know how big someone's head is.
Right.
You silly. That's me. Look how cute you is.
We ran out of Starburst and did Hershey's Kisses.
We bribe.
Do you remember that one?
So cool.
We met the guy who did the artwork for the original Gargoyles on Disney, and ran it. Did you get one for yourself too? So we got versions of ourselves as gargoyles. It was a very good time. I don't want to go too far into Facebook because you'll find stuff that's not convention related. It'll seem silly, but so let's just what do you think? What else do you want to chat about, or do we want to use that as our opportunity to wrap up?
I don't think I have any other thoughts in my head.
No more thoughts in your head at all. What are you expecting when we do the Renaissance Fair? Because that's a decidedly different.
That's very different. I am very excited for the Renaissance Fair. I'm hoping that we can get a table, because I feel the most at home at Ren Fairs,
Right.
and I feel like, particularly with the wands, that's the place to sell them. Like,
Right.
I think that's the exact category of people, because at the conventions we have, like the comic conventions, you have a wide variety of fans, and I do fandom wands, but most of them are like just standard crystals and carvings and stuff. I'm excited about the day-to-day interactions at the Renaissance Fair more, because I feel like the vibe is less chaotic and more
Window shoppy.
it's more window shoppy. Like the people are there, like typically it's not a rush and it's not as crowded as the conventions get. The thing that I'm a little nervous about is because it's an outdoor convention, I don't know what that's gonna look like for
Right.
us. Like, if we have really bad weather, is it going to, potentially create a situation where, like, the tent falls down and my wands break?
Right.
That's the most terrifying thing.
Well, and you brought up another point that is decidedly different between one convention and one Renaissance Fair. We have to bring our own tent and set that up.
Right.
There's no tent.
And I think we set up and tear down as well, so, like, it's going to be a lot of physical...
And is it every day, or is it, hey, we're going to leave this tent here until tomorrow and hope that everything survives? We're certainly bringing your wands home. Like, we don't leave your wands in the
Right.
tent or anything like
yeah,
that.
because I don't want them left overnight in the elements.
Right.
Yeah, man, that's going to be a little scary, but the other thing is the idea of me, a pale ginger, being outdoors for
Well,
multiple
you'll
weekends.
be under a tent.
But we need fans. Like, we need.
Well, and that is the thing. Like, I think these days more and more you see like some kind of like, hey, you can plug in here.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. And even if we didn't, like, we could have like the personal fans that are battery operated.
Something. My people were not built for hot weather and sunlight. We thrive.
We were meant for caves.
In the dark and in the wet.
My wife, the troglodyte. So I know that before we were even familiar with the Columbus Fair in New Jersey, we had like joked about doing the Lancaster Fair, the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair.
That's a huge commitment.
That
though.
is,
That's
because I think back then we did the research and it was the entire season you have to be a vendor,
Right.
to the best of my knowledge, and that's what's leading us to believe that, hey, the Columbus Fair, which at one point was only one weekend, was like, all right, like, I can do this. It's not a daunting theory or anything like that. But now they're
they
4
expanded
weeks.
to 4 weeks, and I think 4 weeks is doable. But the August through October of the
Right.
Pennsylvania one, that's like, and that's a hike too. Like, we're
It's like an hour and 30 minutes away.
we're pretty close to the other one,
The Columbus one.
Yeah, so that one's not going to be as daunting. We can come home and like sleep at night. We don't have to get like hotels or anything like that.
Right. I mean, and we would be able to do the same thing with the Lancaster one, but
It'd
like,
just be so much driving.
it would be a lot of driving. I mean, you'd be able to sleep during the drive and everything. That would be nice, but like, there's no unwind time.
Yeah, I can't
that
do
would be the nice thing about doing the Columbus one, is being able to kind of decompress and things like that.
The other thing about the big fair is I don't know that I would be able to do the inventory unless I did this full time. Like,
Right.
I have a regular job and I have the wands that I do, but I would need to literally just pump them out because it's, they're not manufactured in the way
Right.
that resin wands would be. Like,
Right.
you can make multiples of the same thing. This one, every single one is unique.
It takes a lot out of you. Like, I see the work that you put into it.
Work.
Yeah, you do like 10 wands a week, and it's a tremendous amount of work. So
And the house gets messy when I do that because I'm paying attention only to the wands. So
I had
it's a hard balance.
barefoot full of sawdust this morning, but that's the price we pay.
I know, and I didn't know whether it was sawdust or cheese on my shirt.
It was both.
Because I went from wand making to making dinner, and it was just everywhere.
It was both.
It
Parmesan
was
sawdust.
Probably a good mix.
Well, with that, we'll wrap up. This was a nice little bonus episode. We're very likely going to run this as a rerun because later this month into next we're going to be a little bit busy with some side stuff, and then we'll probably have a backup or two for the maps as well. Tomorrow I will be back to do some more making, Tellest battle maps. So we'll look at that. We have a little bit of catch up to do. Hopefully I'll have some time tomorrow to get the Siphenadil Dam put up, but we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go. Let's switch this over to our closing the show image. Folks, we talked about a lot today across these two episodes. And a lot of what you see on the screen right now, we just talked about on the brochure and everything as well. But we're going to go over it one more time.
Since I'm here, instead of chatting it, would you like a chocolate milk after this?
I would love a chocolate milk.
Excellent.
It'll smooth my throat out very nice.
It's our little weird tradition.
It is our weird little tradition. So, folks, on the screen, you can see all the places that you can find our content. You can go to Tellest.com for anything related to Tellest, Weird Witch Wands, Quantum Quest, all that great stuff. If you want to see any of our kind of premium items, you can see that on patreon.com/Tellest. That's where you can find our daily art. That is way, way, way scheduled out ahead of the website. The website is once a week. Patreon is once a day, Monday through Friday. You also get discounts for our Etsy store if you're a patron. You get to see our battle maps when they're done, including if you're a higher level patron, you get to see the high res versions and the variants that nobody sees anywhere but Patreon. You can see any of these videos even way after Twitch deletes them by going to youtube.com/@worldoftellest. Of course, if you do want to see them live, twitch.tv/thattellestguy is the place to be. If you want to see any of those things that we're making, including Rihanna's Weird Witch Wands, and the battle maps, the mouse pads, any kind of physical product, you can go to our Etsy store at tellest.etsy.com. Rihanna, would you like to talk about the TikToks?
Yes.
Yes.
So, the Weird Witch Wands TikTok is where I post all of my wands after I complete them. I'm going to try and get better at doing like the in progress videos, and I'm making different kinds of like boxing videos and stuff, so you see a little bit more of that process. But more importantly, Tales of Tellest is our TikTok specifically for the doggies. It's got basically, I mean, all three of our doggies, but the main one, the featured character, is Luna, who's our youngest. She is the most vocal dog I have ever encountered in my entire life, and I try and capture as much as her weird little songs as possible on there. So
I feel like it's at least one video a day. So if you want to see our poochies do not often get to accompany us to conventions and things like that. So this is a nice little way to pull back the curtain and see what's going on in our day-to-day life.
If you're having a bad day, just listen to Luna going for like an hour.
Yeah, it's good times. But so that will be it. We'll wrap things up, and I will be back tomorrow. Thank you for watching.
I miss you.